Chris Rock is in the news. No, he did not get slapped by Will Smith, but boy, oh boy, did Chris Rock give a slap for his SNL monologue. I mean, he really came out with a 1-2 punch calling out Jake Paul, but also commenting on the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, who was shot in New York City just 2 weeks ago. So look, I can't play the video because it will probably get us hit with a copyright strike, but I can cover an article and read about what he said in his monologue. So I'm pretty sure if you check out Case Study QB, check out his X account, and that video is up there. It's only 59 seconds long. So please, everyone, if you haven't done so already, check out Case Study QB. Go to Case Study QB. Check out Case Study QB's videos. So there you go. That's what's important to do. So make sure that happens live and direct, as we should all the time, every time. Okay, so there you go. So be sure to check that stuff out. But now, folks, let's go ahead and talk about it. All right. So again, support Case Study QB, but let's go ahead and bring up this article here. Chris Rock's brutally controversial joke about the killing of this New York healthcare CEO. So during his appearance on Saturday Night Live, SNL comedian Chris Rock opted to make a controversial joke about the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Okay, so that is something that happened. So the comedian, 59, appears to be as savage as ever after Will Smith slapped him in the face at the 2022 Oscars. 2022 seems like an innocent year, but nonetheless, he clearly no longer gives a shite. Perhaps he never did after pulling out a number of controversial jokes on Saturday Night Live's evening show on December 14th. So if you missed out on it, hey, I don't think a lot of people watch SNL unless they got somebody good on it. On the night the Everybody Hates Chris actor, took aim at United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, 50, who was shot dead by a masked gunman outside the Hilton Hotel on 6th Avenue in Midtown Manhattan on the 4th of December. So there you go. Ivy League graduate Luigi Magnoni, 26, was charged with murder last Monday, December 9th, and has pleaded not guilty. We all know who his lawyer is. Our cousin Dickie. There you go. We live in a strange timeline right now. Taking the stage, Chris Rock told the live audience, "We got Luigi, and that's good. I really feel sorry for the family. Everybody's fixated on how good looking this guy looks. If he looked like Jonah Hill, no one would care. They already given him the chair already. He'd be dead. But he actually killed a man with a family, a man with kids. I have condolences. I have real condolences for a healthcare CEO. This is a real person, Then he hit viewers with the punchline. But you also got to go. Sometimes drug dealers get shot. Oh, woo. I think that's deserving of a certain this. Oof, 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 oof. Yeah, that's what you call a big oof. Because, sometimes drug dealers get shot. And listen, I live in Chicago. I think those of our friends of ours who live in LA or New York City or Philly, the city of brotherly love, that's what happens when you're part of that game. But holy cow, I don't think anybody was waiting for that one. Okay. But, this is something that has to be talked about. I know there are a couple people who got offended, but that's the thing about comedy. That's the thing about being in the realm of telling jokes or being a professional comedian. Everything's open. Everything is open for ridicule. Everything is open for satire. And some things, yes, should not be touched. Other things, hey, let's face it, man. We live in a day and age where the internet, everything is being talked about. All right. And sometimes, there's always going to be that hot button topic issue. So the shooter right now is currently being held in Pennsylvania, the great state of Pennsylvania, on additional charges of possession of an unlicensed firearm, forgery, and providing false identification to the police. Meanwhile, Rock has been keen to speak out about current affairs in his 7-minute monologue, mentioning President-elect Donald Trump. Trump had a good year, man. Trump survived an assassination attempt. Yes, he did. Not once, but twice. Why? And I'm so glad things didn't get worse, Because my goodness, I dread to think what would happen if certain things did happen. Let's just be grateful for the peace we have, and maybe hopefully 2025 will be a wonderful year for all of us. Maybe yes, maybe no. Won the presidency again by winning the popular vote. Was just named Time Man of the Year. It could happen to a nicer guy. The stand-up continued to joke about how the U.S. presidency role is not what people think it is. A lot of people are scared, like, oh my God, he's going to be so undignified, he said. When I say a lot of people, I'm talking about the 9 New Yorkers that didn't vote for him, okay? Hey, look, Trump won the popular vote, and he also won the Electoral College. Say whatever you will about him, but look, the election's over, and I warned that this was going to happen. Myself and Daniel warned that this was going to happen, okay? I mean, come on. This is not the most dignified job in the world. We've had presidents show up to the inauguration with pregnant slaves, okay? And I'm just talking about Bill Clinton. Oh, dude, it's the United States. I mean, you know what country we live in. You know the history of this country. That's what Chris Rock went on to say. Continue on. This is an article from Variety, of course. Chris Rock hosted the December 12th episode of Saturday Night Live and filled his opening monologue with jokes on multiple topics in the news, okay? I mean, for example, the targets of his mini stand-up include Jake Paul and his boxing match with Mike Tyson, which now looking back at it, I really wish it didn't happen, but Mike Tyson needed that money, I guess, whatever. Who is Jake Paul, this 27-year-old punching a 60-year-old in the face? Is this what the white man has reduced himself to? Stop it. Who's he going to fight next? Morgan Freeman? I hate Jake Paul. I got landlord hate for him. Oh! He also admits words about the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, saying, I really feel sorry for the family. Everybody's fixated on how good looking this guy looks. If he looked like Jonah Hill, no one would care. They'd already given him the chair already. He'd be dead. But he actually killed a man with family, a man with kids. I have condolences as a real person. But you also got to go. Sometimes drug dealers shot. See, this is why you like you have to tune into Hard Lens Media. But there have been updates, though, to the situation involving Luigi. So I think it's only fair we pull up this video here from Case Study QB just to give you guys an update overall with what's happening with the situation with Luigi. So let's go ahead and play this video.
A judge will decide whether Luigi Mangione will be extradited to New York in a little more than 2 weeks, giving Mangione and his defense attorney more time to prepare for the murder charges he is facing in Manhattan. Charges based on mounting evidence. NBC News correspondent Stephanie Gosk has the new working theory from police on how Mangione allegedly escaped capture here in New York.
This morning, a detailed new look at how police say Luigi Mangione planned his escape from New York City after allegedly gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The NYPD says the trail went cold after he fled the crime scene on an e-bike into Central Park and ended up at a bus station uptown. Authorities now telling NBC News' Jonathan Dienst it appears he hopped on a subway and doubled back in an effort to throw the police off his trail. Police say Mangione also had thousands of dollars in his bag.
He was getting money from an ATM. Everything he did, he was paying for in cash.
Altoona police also recovered a gun that the NYPD says its crime lab has now matched to 3 shell casings left behind at the crime scene. But an ongoing mystery is how Mangione got the weapon.
The gun itself, it is a ghost gun. It is a receiver that comes from a gun manufacturer from parts. And then the gun was built up from a 3D printer.
Police say they're still searching for a possible motive. United Healthcare confirming Mangione was not insured by their health plan. But investigators continue to look into whether years of severe back problems and eventual surgery may have played a role.
He posted x-rays of screws being inserted into his spine. So the injury that he suffered was a life-changing, life-altering injury. And that's what may have put him on this path.
I want to be clear here. We live in the richest country in the world. Okay? Richest country in the world, and we can't take care of our citizens. Okay? Every other country has health care for its citizens. One bad day, you could lose everything. One bad day, you're dying. One bad day, you could be on the streets. It is the reality of this nightmare of neoliberalism. Now, I don't support violence. I don't. But I understand what could drive a person to go crazy. Imagine it, for example. You do everything right. One bad day, something happens to you or a loved one. Somebody that you care about. Or it just happens to you. And then you're told that your insurance won't cover you or protect you, that you will not be provided care for. This is the sickness of our world. And then you're on your own. Now, there's been numerous times where doctors say that they're against what the healthcare insurance industry is doing. I only can imagine. And like I said, because I don't know, but I only can imagine. Now, I told my story about what happened when I had pneumonia. But see, the thing is, my story, I got very lucky. And it was a one and done simple solution. But the thing is, and this was in 2018, it got me to think, okay, well, my goodness, I got lucky. I dodged a huge bill, about $2,000 or $3,000. My goodness. But other people are not. Other people face the real horrors of these medical bills. So it could set anybody off. And people are talking about Medicare for all, as they should.
As the investigation ramps up in New York, Mangione sits in a maximum custody prison cell in Pennsylvania. His attorney filed a petition contesting his detention, arguing the state has not proven Mangione was in New York the day of the murder or provided probable cause that he was responsible for the crime.
So a couple other things here, too, because there is another update as well. I think it's only fair that we do bring this up.
ABC News also reporting that, quote, law enforcement officials are worried that Mangione is being turned into a martyr as a wave of internet supporters donate to defense funds for the 26-year-old suspected killer, including one online defense fund that has raised more than $50,000. News Nation cameras even capturing this expression of support from inmates at the Pennsylvania prison where Mangione is being held.
Now, we don't know if these prisoners are trolling or they're being serious. Perhaps there are some. And forget, man, everybody's a person. Everybody's a human being. We all got, we're all one and the same. The thing is, let's just take a step back. Let's say some of these prisoners are being sincere. Let's say that's all coming from a righteous spot. Those prisoners have family members and friends. Perhaps they know some family members and friends that are covering or dealing with the insurance industry because they might have medical bills, because everyone's got a story. Everyone has a story, even you, my viewing audience. What happened here was something that hasn't been done in quite a long time. And now it's sparking a conversation for Medicare for all. And we've done a couple of segments about it where people are talking about Medicare for all, that maybe Bernie Sanders was right. Oh, my goodness. Even corporate media saying Bernie Sanders was right. And yes, you even have comedians like Chris Rock making jokes about it. And of course, you have people who are saying that, got this article from the New York Post, for example, saying Chris Rock making a pathetic joke about United Healthcare CEO. Okay. Well, the thing is, here's the thing about comedy and free speech. Everything's open for ridicule. Everyone has a right to speak. And I'm going to be talking about a little bit more about this article here because apparently there's a lot of people who are just triggered about Chris Rock's joke. Well, he's a comedian. Guess what? Comedians say controversial things. That's the whole thing about comedy. All right. Have you ever hung out with comedians? I have. Sometimes they don't give an F.
Free Luigi. It's Friday, which means it's time for Michael Smerconish, CNN political commentator, host of CNN Smerconish. Michael, welcome. Always wonderful to see you. Happy Friday. Let's start with what we saw there. The News Nation cameras outside that prison, people yelling, free Luigi. That makes a real statement.
So on Wednesday, I was in New York City to do my radio program at Sirius XM.
Now, wait a minute. I do my best to see the live stream chat. Rebecca Freeman. I lost my uncle Thanksgiving to lung cancer. I am so sorry for your loss, and I send my condolences to you and your family. I've lost some loved ones too. We all have. We all have a person. Just a bit of advice here because we're gonna talk about how people are triggered by how everyone's supporting Luigi. All right. Now, I don't condone violence. I don't. Hey, listen, I love a peaceful future where everyone's living their best life, okay? But I understand why people are angry. We all have a loved one. Rebecca, I hope this gives you peace. You want to know what the real secret of life is, folks? The real answer? Make time with life with what you have now. You got to enjoy life with the minutes that you have, the hours that you have. No one's guaranteed a full life, so make it worthwhile, make it great. That's the meaning of it. So let's pull up the rest of this with Case Study QB. And I understand we might be having some troubles on X live streaming there. But and I'm disappearing. But we'll if anyone's having trouble seeing this on X, hopefully that stream gets fixed very soon.
And in the 6 a.m. hour, I walked on 54th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue, not because of some morbid curiosity, but because that's where I stay when I'm in New York City. That's my route. And what I found jarring was the lack of any kind of a memorial where this assassination took place. In other words, I'm walking on the sidewalk where 1 week prior, in the exact same hour, the 6 a.m. hour, this healthcare CEO, father of two, was gunned down in cold blood. And there's no remembrance. There's no recollection. There's like nothing. People are just going about their business and leading their lives. And I thought, this is so telling of the reversal of sympathies that I find appalling. And by the way, we can do two things at once. We can mourn the decedent, the man who paid with his life unnecessarily, and we can recognize the errors in our healthcare system and try and work to bring about change. I've never seen.
Look, condolences to his family. But I think what this host needs to realize is that a lot of people in this country don't have sympathy for those who don't know the struggles. Okay, this is what's happening out there in the world right now. All right, you have a lot of people. All of you in my audience have said the same thing too. Hey, I'm struggling day in, day out just to make ends meet, and it's still not enough. Still not enough. Yes, every one of us. Yes, look, we struggle. But I think especially in a city, a major metropolitan city like New York City, where the rent is too damn high to even have a small studio apartment the size of a closet, I think it's hard for people to sympathize with others when they don't know how they're going to make it past tomorrow, or very well, they could be dead tomorrow, okay? You have people going to work with pneumonia or other diseases or other ailments, maybe with a broken hand or something, because they just don't have the money to go to the hospital. So it's hard for people to sympathize. It is. It really is. And this is very telling about the society. There's something wrong here. And if those who are in the media circle, the high echelon people, the politicians, what they need to realize is that the people are angry. The people are furious. The people are scared. An election's over. A very tense election is over. And now there's still some uncertainty. What happens to the rest of us? What happens in these next 4 years? Will our lives get better, or will nothing fundamentally change?
Casey, in the 3 decades that I've been behind this microphone taking telephone calls from across the country, I've never seen the visceral reaction as I have in this case. My callers appropriately mourn the loss of life and at the same time say, but you know, I've got a relative who can't get coverage, or I've had this issue of my own. We can do both things. I would like to think that change comes from it, but for goodness sakes, can we please be appropriate in how we recall what happened a week ago Wednesday? Because it was god awful.
Yeah, of course. It was absolutely god awful. One kind of question I've sort of wrestled with a little bit is whether this may, because it's exposed all this anger, ultimately lead to some change, some political change, because obviously that would suggest that violence in this case affects political change, which is not a place we want to go in American politics. But that said, clearly there are millions of Americans, and honestly, I can't find anybody. I'm pretty sure everybody's sitting at this table. I have my own story about dealing with these healthcare companies. Right?
Yes, but the thing is, look, you're not like the rest of us. I just want to pull up this article here from the New York Post. Chris Rock stuns viewers with a pathetic joke. Well, no. Here's the thing. Again, I'm going to reread the joke. All right. So he actually killed a man, a family with killed a family man, a man with kids. I have condolences for the healthcare CEO. This is a real person, but sometimes deals get shot. You've seen the wire, White. Yeah, I've seen The Wire. The Wire is one hell of a show. Continuing on, there was some backlash from viewers. I stopped watching after the sick joke about Brian Thompson. Well, okay, that's somebody. This is disgusting, said another person. Joking about murder is pathetic. And here's the thing, all right? For those of you who don't know, I'm a Warhammer 40K fan, okay, just real quick. But there is an incident where Malkador and the God Emperor of Mankind are actually playing chess. And, well, they're playing a game, right? And it gets to the point where the Emperor starts talking down to Malkador and calling him a jester. And Malkador quips back, because, again, this is the high point of the heresy. I know, trying to give a short version to something I love. And Malkador quit back and says, the jester, the comedian, the jokester, is the one who reminded kings and rulers in antiquity that they were people too, and that they themselves were open to ridicule to bring them back down to earth. That's what a good jester does. That's what a good comedian does. And yes, in comedy, guess what? Politics, history, news, culture, people, religions, everything is open to ridicule. And the United States has a thing called free speech. If you don't like it, that's just how it is. Other users nitpick at the fact that Rock 59 referred to Thompson as a drug dealer. Well, hey, someone go ahead and look up Johnson & Johnson, how they got a lot of Americans addicted to their products, leading to an opioid crisis that we're still dealing with. Saying the CEO didn't deal in the pharmaceutical industry and those in the healthcare industry don't deal drugs. Someone tell that to Johnson & Johnson. The show then dedicated more airtime to remarks about the shocking execution with a sketch of Sarah Sherman as a legal commentator, Nancy Grace, who calling the internet's obsession with the sex icon shooter. Sherman, playing Grace, opened the sketch by saying, "It's game over, Luigi," to the sad sound of Super Mario Bros. Game. She expressed shock that people were all hot and bothered by a 26-year-old, of course, offered that he looks like Dave Franco with Eugene Levy eyebrows. Oh, my goodness gracious. I mean, really, what's going on with this country? Y'all, this man is not a sex icon. This man is, and I cannot say any clearer, a murderer. All right, so there you go. But everything's open for a joke. Everything's open for a ridicule, okay? And look, this case is going to be continue on through 2025. And something tells me that there's going to be more jokes, more commentary. And this case will be developing. And it's very clear that Luigi has himself a following. And that people are talking about Medicare for all. And yes, we are going to be talking about one person in particular who's been named as a copycat, Brianna Boston, for example, which she's not a copycat. Copycat. I mean, she because, you know, she just sent a letter. She didn't do anything violence-wise, but people are talking about Medicare for all. And as this story goes on, more comedians are going to be talking about it. It's not just going to be Chris Rock. I mean, look, folks, we're on the internet. Everything's open for ridicule. Everything's open for critique. Even me. I've been in this business for 7 years, now soon to be going on to 8 years. Oh, no, someone said something mean about it. Too bad. That happens. It happens. Folks, all of you have been in the internet too. You have seen things. You have dealt back with pushback and ridicule. That's the internet. This is a wild Western environment. If you can't take the heat, then get the hell out of the kitchen. And if people are triggered and upset of overall how people are reacting to this story, we need to ask ourselves, why then? It's because the richest country in the world, these healthcare insurance and industries, deny coverage to their customers. And as people are suffering, people are going to get angry, as they should. Chris Rock didn't say anything wrong. He's a comedian. You know, controversial statement, a 3, 2, and an uno. That's his freaking job.